All right. 1, 2, and 3, 4 and 5, doesn't count. 6 and 7. Got note card and a second note card. All right. All right. Hello everybody, my name is Lori. Today we're going to be talking about arguments and how to win them. I know everybody here has been in an argument before. I know most of the time they're not an enjoyable thing to get into because, you know, nobody likes to lose an argument. Today we're going to be talking about how to have an intelligent argument, how to construct one in a way that is helpful, how to be, not say polite, but how to be civil and have a civil argument to work so it doesn't erupt into chaos and screaming, and how to have an intelligent argument because no one wants to sound stupid when you're trying to refute a point. So today we're going to be talking about the construction of an argument. The construction of an argument is important because you don't want to be referring back to different points. You don't want to be going, well, and another thing, over and over again. You want to lay out your point, which is your thesis, is what you believe. Then you want to build on a narrative of that thesis. So when I say a narrative, you want to, take your thesis and then bring up points that support that thesis, and then you also want to be able to refute or concede where you need to be. It is important to remember that when arguing with somebody, you do need to know that you have to concede where you need to concede and refute where you need to refute. One thing that I did learn is concept mapping. What concept mapping is really good for in-class and business use. You'll take a central idea. Today it shows food choices because I can never decide what to eat, especially with everybody here. You'll take food choices, and then you'll take different ideas from those food choices. So I'll put something like Olive Garden, and then somebody else will put something else like Red Lobster, and so on, so on, so on, until you have a bunch of different ideas. You can argue which ideas are best. It will give you an organized point to start from, and you can kind of figure out where you agree on those points, and it will come to a resolve a lot faster, more efficient, and more civilly. The next thing I looked up is how to conduct your argument, how to be polite, be civil. A couple of sources that I used were the Science Explorer and the Urban Debate League, because debaters like to argue as much as they can. What the Urban Debate League used was the comparative, think comparatively. So whenever you're arguing with somebody, you want to be able to think in comparison to your argument with theirs. You want to be able to use their ideas for yourself. What that means is know how to relate their argument to yours. So if they're saying something like, well, I don't like Olive Garden, Italian food, chain food is not very good, you can argue that it is in your experience with other such restaurants. For the Science Explorer, they mostly talk about your attitude in the argument. They want to talk about, you want to keep your breathing even, you want to keep your voice low and calm, you want to make sure that you don't get heated in the argument. Raising your voice elevates the argument to a different level, to a more intense level. They also said to know when to exit an argument when appropriate. Don't stay arguing with somebody about something you don't think you're going to find any resolve in. Sometimes you won't. The third is to know your facts. Knowing your facts in an argument is crucial. You don't want to enter an argument with somebody not knowing anything about what you're saying or what you're doing. Of course, not every argument is the same. There are people who have, unfortunately, racism and biases against people like LGBTQ and stuff like that, which makes having an argument difficult. You want to make sure that if this is the case, state that that is a bias. Refute their bias with facts. When you're refuting their bias with facts, it is harder for them to refute against you, um, instead of just stating two biases against each other. Of course, I don't believe in racism, so I'm not going to say, well, you can't be racist because racism is wrong. That's another bias. I would state that racism is illegal against human rights. I would state, that is morally unethical and that it is, in fact, illegal. Those are facts that refute a bias. The next is I use Lumen Learning. Lumen Learning helped me with finding what types of facts are best in an argument. The facts that they use are evidence, tangible evidence, something that they can physically see, physically look at. Another is not to use things like he said, she said. He said, she said in an argument is valuable, and it is not helpful to the conversation because it's not provable. Something that would help would be professional testimony from legitimate sources. It's also observance, like we use for our food choices, to observe the surroundings around you, find best choices that work for your party, and also not use facts that you know are incorrect. If you use facts that are incorrect, that does hurt your argument inherently. It does weaken the point that you're trying to make. Conclusively, to bring it all together, when making an argument, make sure that you've constructed it correctly, that you've been civil, and that you know what you're talking about. Those are the key parts to making the argument, to making yourself intelligent and having a non-chaotic argument with somebody. And if you do use these, it will help you. It will make sure that you win the argument, so to speak.